great. This is the one I want. Dog Company. Bronze Star decorated Army captain explains how politically correct lawyers are betraying our troops. Now, this is an Army captain who was ousted out of the military because when he was in Afghanistan, and we're seem to be on Afghanistan right now, he was, in his company were 12 spies, and the interpreter was a spy. And he was told to let them go. And he's like, I'm not letting them go. These are spies. These are ISIS dudes. I can't let them go.
Right.
And so he put a bullet, he shot the ground, and he began to interrogate them like any man would do.
Right.
You find out 12 dudes in your company are spies, are ISIS, and your interpreter, right? You shoot the ground and you start to interrogate them and find out where they are, where they're from, and what's going on.
Right.
And instead of the 12 spies being like captured, this guy has to go under investigation. And he said this happened over and over and over again in Afghanistan. Afghanistan is probably, for me, a bigger corruption than Iraq. And the reason I say that is that because 90% of the world's opium now comes from Afghanistan. And if you watched our videos, go look up the Bacha Boys. Afghanistan soldiers who are working with our troops all have these little playboys that they molested. And as some people would say, well, that's not Islam. That's the Afghan culture. And the military were told, do not do anything. That's their culture. And when a man has to stand down from something like that, it's mind-blowing, and it'll tear you to pieces, and that's one aspect of it. So you've got the opium, you've got this, and why we don't deal with child molesters,
No.
okay? You can't, there are things that we can disagree on.
No. Child molestation is not part of anyone's culture, and if
Right.
it is, that's not something you just accept because it's culture.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Which is you just don't do it.
I'm going to accept it with a bullet right through the head. If I catch you with somebody, it's like it's out of my mind. And this poor guy, Captain Roger Hill, says, bottom line here is that we've got a set of politically driven rules of engagement that are getting our guys and girls overseas killed and hurt unnecessarily. And that's what gets my goat. And a Muslim joke. Boom, ching. Okay, never mind. All right, so here's the thing.
They laugh.
When our soldiers, their lives are being put on the line unnecessarily, or when top dogs, no pun intended because it's dog company, are politically sitting in their chairs, in their lazy boys saying, well, you know what, not today, it's just, and if one of our soldiers dies because if somebody sitting in a chair somewhere makes a
Right.
bad decision,
Yeah.
or makes a politically led decision.
Patriot Gallery.
Patriot Gallery.
Pharmaceutical companies.
Right.
A lot of that opium in Afghanistan goes to our pharmaceutical companies.
I was
Dear
just
God.
getting ready to read a comment how opium and heroin is up like 700%.
We encourage
in the United
it.
States since we went to
Not
Afghanistan.
we, the CIA, which is a deep state.
Right,
CIA
but it goes
is
even
the
further
deep
than
state.
just, and here's the thing, you guys, it's not just the heroin epidemic that's on the streets. It's the fact that opium is going to these drug companies.
So
you always have to follow the dollar.
Opium,
Exactly.
And it just so happens that some of it gets sidetracked
Right.
into our country, but the rest of it, we are the world's importer of all this opium in Afghanistan. So they got, not only are they doing drugs and child molestation seem to go hand in hand.
Yes, it does.
And so he says, my first sergeant, Tommy Scott, and myself, we led a heavy weapons company in a violent province in eastern Afghanistan. It seems like the enemy was always one step ahead of us, and we discovered why. Through the aid of a counter-intel team, we uncovered 12 spies operating on our base. These were Afghan laborers that were hired by the U.S. government to serve as translators and other workers to support us so that we could focus on combat operations. Also, at that time, I was receiving credible intelligence that the enemy was planning a large-scale attack against my base. My command made multiple calls to our higher command to get these 12 spies taken off our hands, as was according to protocol. They would not. Working against the clock, this credible intelligence of a large-scale attack, we decided to interrogate these spies ourselves to disrupt the attack. The interrogation consisted of me firing a weapon into the ground and scaring some detainees into talking. That led to an investigation, the investigation to a hearing, and a handful of us being drummed out of the military.
Wow.
Not happy here. This is disgusting. Marlow asked why the book is presented as something the Army doesn't want you to read. There's a thing a lot of troops overseas refer to in a negative way, and it's this ideal of catch and release, the revolving door regarding our detainee policies overseas, Hill explained. A lot of Marines, a lot of guys from the Army on the ground have dealt with this, where you catch detainees, enemy combats on the battlefield. In this case, also spies and our higher commands are forcing us to simply release them. I mean, Afghanistan is so full of corruption. They're telling them you can't stop kids from being molested. You got to catch and release these spies. What the heck is going on over there, you guys? Why have we been there for 16 years? Because it's not in our national interest to finish what we're doing there because we're making so much out of it. I mean, it's disgusting. I've got to really... See, do you understand? Do you understand? Of course they're going to just catch and release. If you're trying to keep, like, especially under Obama, you're trying to keep the cycle going. You don't care. You're not trying to win in Afghanistan, guys. It was never about ISIS or Al-Qaeda. Never. It was for us, right? I've got a really vivid, colorful example of this among several throughout the book. But one that I'll highlight right here is we were in a firefight once in a very dangerous valley called the Tangi Valley in Wardak province, you recall. We pushed through the ambush line, came across some enemy fighters. We killed some, captured one guy. It just so happened that we blew his arm off. We're a heavy weapons company, so Mark 19s, 50 cal machine guns. We patch him up, put a tourniquet on him, take him to hire, Hill continued. They save his life, essentially, and they send him back to us 2 weeks later, and they say, hey, we know you caught this enemy fighter, but he's outside that window of time. You had to bring charges against him, so we need you to take him back to the point of capture, which is a very dangerous area, and release him. He said, under NATO rules, you only have 96 hours to bring charges. It's ridiculous. He says this is a very small time frame, and that time frame is insane. Of course, under Obama, everything is insane. The idea is to keep the funnel going, right? Especially since the enemy is well aware of the rules and knows how to run out the clock. He says, I have been forced to give guys cab fare. Cab fare.
Wow.
To go back to their villages after we capture them in combat operations. What is this junk that we're doing?
Could you imagine being on the ground and having to do that? Like knowing what your job is, knowing what you should be able to do, and you're not able to do it.
What are we doing to our soldiers over there? This absolutely, you guys, this is deep.
Right.
This is so deep. There is something going on here, and our soldiers are trying to say, listen, and they've been crying out. They've been saying, what is going on here in Afghanistan? However, when you take on a story like this, and he talks about in his book, he says it's taken 7 years to write. The government has done a number of things to throw obstacles in his way. People started coming out of the woodwork and to disclose their own experiences. So I know this is a rampant problem. I know the right thing to do is to make light of it so the American people know what's going on and they can put pressure on our political system to make a change, which is why we're here and why you're here. Our young Marines and soldiers do not get to pick and choose where they go and fight, what enemy they get to fight. That's something we do, and by extension, our votes through the political process and our government does. And so here's the thing. If our troops, and right now, you guys, and Mike Cernovich said that his big news, his big bombshell, was that we were sending ground troops. He said 150,000
into Syria.
Bloomberg came out. I believe it was Bloomberg. It might have been Bloomberg. They came out and said, no, you're wrong. What I heard was tens of thousands. And Mike was like, okay, so isn't 150,000 tens of thousands? The latest I heard was 50,000 ground troops going into Syria, which, what is it? Was it this one-off crazy thing? Is it 50,000 troops? Is it 150,000 troops? Are you sending our guys in there? Because we're woke. All right? And we are seeing our soldiers come back with the missing legs and the missing arms, right? We're seeing our soldiers die. And we want to know that if one of them dies, it's for a real cause.
And I think that
and it's
and
not
I hate to say
for
this,
oil, and it's not for gas, and it's not for show.
but there have been many lives that were lost that weren't for anything righteous. And it's unfortunate to say that.
We talk about the Vietnam War like that all the time. You know, they were forced to go in there. There was a draft, you know, and these young men and women and older men and women, their mothers, their fathers, their aunts, their uncles, they're somebody's children.
Right.
Okay? And we
fathers
can't play
and mothers,
war games
yeah.
with people's lives. These people, they give their service, they give service to us. And so you and we can't just say, I trust you, Trump. I trust you, government. Okay? Because Trump could be getting wrong intel, right?
And that's one of the things that a lot of you guys have brought up. Like, wait, listen, Trump is getting more intel than we're getting. He knows more than you're right. But he's getting fed bad intel.
The deep state is still there.
The deep state doesn't change with every new president.
These are the same CIA people under Obama giving Obama intelligence.
Exactly.
And probably the same people under Bush.
And if
these
you
are
think
the same
for 1
people.
minute they don't have an agenda, you're wrong.
These people they're political.
Yes.
They're not appointed. They're
and
appointed
they can be lifers. I mean,
Right.
they can stay in there forever.
Exactly. These are the people that run our government. Trump is just one guy, all right? And so you and we're their voice. And so the cool thing about when Trump got elected is these Trump-isms came to the forefront. America first. Our own jobs first. Bring jobs back from China. When he's meeting with the Chinese president and saying maybe we can work out a deal. No. We're bringing jobs back from China. If we have to squeeze you out of it, Trump. This is important. You guys know that we didn't necessarily vote for Trump. We wanted Trump to win. All right. We prayed for Trump to win, but we needed to. We wrote in Kansas's name. Kansas for president, farms for everyone.
Okay, we didn't write that. We wrote his real legal name.
Yeah, Matthew Davis. It was a spiritual thing for us to do, but everybody had to do what they had to do, and that was what we had to do. But we wanted Trump to win. We were praying for him to win. I knew in Ohio he was going to win by a long shot. Other people didn't, but if you live in Ohio, you knew.
You saw all the signs.
Right. Liberals knew Ohio's going for Trump. But here's the thing. What really turned me for Trump, the first time that I heard him say during the debates, when he started to talk about bringing jobs back to America, I was like, bam. Nobody's been saying that. I was like, and then the other things that Trump began to say, I was like, dude, you're right on. Dude, you're right on. When he was talking about Syria, dude, you're right on. You know, we saw him in Cincinnati. I was like, man, you were right on. And I remember thinking to myself, I don't think that this came up out of you, but I do believe that you listen to the people, all right?
Exactly.
And so we have to keep reminding him of what we want done.
Okay, I want to pause really quickly here. We are going to get to a lot of different things in tonight's live chat. We are going to get to North Korea. We've already covered Kushner in other videos and his link and how corrupt he is. For those of you that don't know, Jared Kushner is Trump's son-in-law, and he is, I think, a neocon. He is a Democrat.
He is a Democrat. Okay,
he's a globalist. He's funded by George Soros.
He's gotten a lawyer, and his family is actually friends with Soros. They've done business dealings with George Soros. Yeah. So there's a lot of questioning there, and some people are saying that Jared Kushner is. I was listening to an interview that he is micromanaging the national security. He is micromanaging, and that the people in the national security can't make decisions because they got to go through Jared Kushner. He's 36 years old. What does he know about national security? I mean, seriously.
He's a Manhattan elite, and so he knows everything.
These are people who've been in there, and like I trust them more than I trust Jared Kushner. I can tell you that much.
And everybody wants me to talk about the address. It is 666.
Exactly. Spot on.
Don't you think that's by design?
So he bought this Mormon building in Manhattan, and the address is 666. Crazy, really crazy. Yeah. So there's a lot to that. Thank you guys.
I just wanted to. I've been reading your comments. I'm so sorry I can't interject when Leah's speaking, but at the end we
can.
will definitely be. I do when it's really, really important. But we'll be doing kind of more questions once you wrap up what you want to cover, and then we'll cover other things.
You know, I'm kind of done with it. This is frustrating, and if we're going to do any war, I mean, Trump has been saying, listen, we might go unilaterally on North Korea if they have their finger on that nuclear testing. See, North Korea wants to do some they want to do some testing because Kim Jong Un loves to fire off guns, and I love the GIFs of Kim Jong Un. Right, he's bang, and a little flag comes out. His little missile pops right down on the ground. You know, very impotent man there. So. You know, but China is actually very concerned. China is really concerned, and I do believe with the news being so quick, so fast, we told you that North Korea had evacuated 500,000. Now the latest I heard was that they didn't.
Right.
The latest I heard of Japan was evacuating people from South Korea. To keep them safe, because obviously they're the closest and most likely to be bombed if anybody's going to be bombed.
Unfortunately,
I also did hear that he's actually just trying to do a nuclear test underground, which probably is not a good idea for him to be touching any missiles at all. Just don't touch them. Just stop touching buttons. Missiles. And the poor people, when you watch these poor North Koreans, they're all 90 pounds or less. They are more than half starved. And this is what I was wondering. I was telling Michelle, I was like, dude, under Assad, the people had food, they had shelter, they actually had made a decent wage, Christians were okay. So why haven't we just taken out Kim Jong-un and just redone North Korea? And the reason why, if we actually cared about people, because people in North Korea are dying every single day.
It's atrocious what's happening, and we all know that's going on in North Korea. But when we're talking about whether we should bomb Syria or bomb North Korea,
there's no oil pipeline in North Korea. There's no monetary incentive.
Exactly.
Okay, so China just keeps him and everybody in their little box. It's absolutely insane. Let's see. I brought that up. I wanted to show you that
peanut gallery.
Go ahead.
Well, one time Trump had a census about him. The founding fathers' idea was to be the example. We have a clean country. We have a country that works. We have a country where men and women love their land and farm their land and love their children and go to church. And we have a moral country. And we were to be that example. And in Trump's inauguration speech,
it was powerful.
he said, we will be the
example for the world.
And right now, if you don't get your own country clean, the Bible's very clear.
Yep.
Take the log out of your own eye first, then you can easily help other people.
Right.
But we're trying to help people when we're a mess.
I was cold all alone, no place for home every day, so afraid, but you called my name.